loves, how are you? Today we're going to talk about the origin of the core soul wound from my perspective and understanding. This is definitely something that unfolded for me over time, over years, over different memories and successions. So it's the best picture that my understanding remembers, and I'm just going to share with you in whatever ways it comes through. So I want to start out by acknowledging that there's this core soul wound within humans, and it's where we were separated from most or some of our own essence, but also our highest connection to our highest source, our creator. Of course, we were always still connected on some level, but in our energetics on the planet, we forgot. We fell into forgetfulness around our true power, our true connection to our higher power, our higher source, our own higher knowing. So, of course, with that said, anything that I share here today is simply meant to inspire your own inner knowing and your own inner intuition. Okay. This is how I've learned to understand it and process it, but it's by no means the only way. Okay. We each have our own individual story, our own individual perception, and our own individual subconscious fields and memories. Okay. So just take what resonates for you and leave the rest. Okay. But with that said, there is that separation from our higher power. Sometimes we talk about connecting heaven and earth, the higher power and the earth. So it's really, to me, that remembrance of our full connection directly to our own connection to our own source. Okay. No middlemen involved, no other person saying that they know how to connect to your soul's energy more than you. There may be people that support you in remembering that and opening up to it. But at the end of the day, you're in control of your own energy and essence and or moving towards that as much as possible. Okay. So there's that part of the core wound, but there's also where we were separated from our partners. There's memories for many on the planet or within our human energetics where the divine feminine and divine masculine essences were split on our planet. It wasn't always like that. There was a time where inside of us or in our energetic fields, we felt totally complete, at peace, in joy and harmony. That's why we all have that craving so deeply in ourselves. We remember that that's how it originally was. Okay. And so a big part of what happened when the splits occurred, when the energies came to the planet and started to create the havoc, we started to fall, we started to forget who we were, we started to forget our connection. Then the energies came in and split the masculines and feminines apart. So this happened in my understanding twofold. One, it happened on an internal level where our own energies started to split and divide. And that's why we have a lot of these internal tug of war energies where you see that people have a hard time fully accepting who they are. And we have these shadow energies inside of us where we've hidden and away from parts of ourself in that struggle to accept all of who we are. There was a lot of inversions and suppression that happened within our systems when the fall happened. There are details that we could get into around that, but today I want to just focus on the origin of the wound as it pertains to us. We'll see if more details come. But so you have these suppressions and inversions in our system where we felt that complete loss, that wounding, that abandonment, that core soul wound really has a deep resonance with feeling abandoned. Yes, maybe not anyone specifically abandoning us on purpose, but it's how our system interpreted it. Kind of like when you see parents drop their kids off at kindergarten, they're not abandoning their children, they're just simply dropping them off so that they can start a new way of learning and interacting in the world. But sometimes the child interprets the parent dropping them off and leaving as energetic abandonment. So at a soul level, we've experienced many different forms and feelings of abandonment when what we knew, what we understood was taken away from us, and we didn't understand why. We didn't understand how to navigate that or how to work with it. And it became very painful, and it was the most painful wound to our souls, to our systems, because we had no understanding of what that wounding ever felt like. We never knew what it felt like to be abandoned or left alone. We only knew peace and prosperity and joy and love. So our systems had no way to protect us against these types of pain and suffering. So those original memories are exceedingly intense and painful. So that's also a part of why I'm a bit ginger around this topic, because if people haven't opened this up or worked on it and it starts to bring things up, it can be overwhelming. Many times, a lot of us need to go to a few sessions or support with others to begin to bring up these memories, because they can, in fact, have been so suppressed in our system that we're needing that support available as we bring those up. That's actually what happened for me personally. I had a very big opening and memory happen during a QHHT session. And a few sessions after that, I had to work with a friend who does energy work, because I needed the additional support as I was opening up the intensity of these wounds. At least that was my experience. Maybe that won't be the same for everyone else. But either way, if you feel stuck or you feel guided to get support around it, or you have an awareness that there's more underneath that you're not quite sure what it is, but you know something's kind of running, I would encourage you to get some support with that. It is something I'm available to support with if you're interested in working with me, but there's definitely many amazing souls and people that you can work with. You may even have someone in mind. So either way, just if you get to a point where you're noticing that, it's okay to need support, because these were the most intense woundings because it was the original. Imagine just never knowing what pain was and then experiencing the pain, the suffering, the hopelessness connected to that. And then the hopelessness came from not understanding, one, how to cope with it or move through it, but also that it could get better. Our systems at that time often just interpreted it as the end. Okay. Like just going into the chaos and confusion and having no way out of it, because there wasn't the skill set to move through it. So this was very painful. And over time, over these thousands of years, clearly we have built up defense mechanisms and protective mechanisms. So if you wonder why we have those in our systems, this is a big part of why. It was how we did survive. It's how we coped with dealing with pains and emotions that we never knew how to feel. The thing was, is no one really had a template of how to deal with it. So that's why we see humans still so deeply suppressing their emotions and their truth, and not having a lot of skill set on how to cope with that. Okay. But obviously, we're at a time where we are learning how to do that. We're unraveling those old pains and suppressions and inversions and learning how to hold space for ourselves and others, especially around processing painful, traumatic, emotional things. But then I want to add another layer of this core soul wound origin that we've been experiencing that I don't know if this gets acknowledged or talked about much. It really came more deeper into my awareness just recently. But we have our own original core soul wound from our actual soul. But then we have the core soul wound memories of all of the ancestors that came before us that that passed down the genetic DNA that helped us embody into these physical vessels. Okay, so you're carrying or have carried your own core soul wound and memories, but also amplified by all the core soul wound memories of all of your ancestors. Okay, clearly, like I've said a million times, our ancestors were survivors. That's why we're here. So they were strong and brave and courageous enough to do whatever it needed to be done to get here. But now we're at a time on our planet where we're actually ready to unravel out of that core soul wound energies because we've built enough skills and enough strength to be able to unpack that, to unravel it, to dissolve maybe what's not ours, to be able to look at what is ours and what's going to be beneficial for us to focus on and learn from. But we have the skills to know how to protect ourselves now, or we're learning those. I can say for myself, especially over the past year or two, that's a big part of what I focused on was learning where to drop in boundaries and standards into my system where there were none. So I also want to acknowledge to all of you who have felt like, how have I gotten in situations like that? How did I not see it? How was I not protecting myself? I think many of us at one point or another have held feeling frustrated at ourselves that we put ourselves or got into uncomfortable situations. Perhaps we didn't see the red flags or we saw the red flags, but we did it anyway. I just want to acknowledge that a big part of that was that you didn't even have the information to properly or appropriately protect yourself in your system. And there really wasn't a healthy template for that available. We're just really starting to learn that in deeper and deeper ways right now, from my understanding. Because a big part of the last 2 or 3 years of my existence has been dedicated to understanding the energetics of this in my own system, but then also working with many clients and friends around these same topics. And although each person is a bit different, there are these general energies that are happening and occurring in our energetics and in our subconscious fields. And so many of us not understanding the full capacity of what humans have endured over these last 26,000 years and what we've survived, it can be really amazing to realize just how incredibly, amazingly resilient we are, given the levels that we were suppressed and inverted and controlled and programmed in so many ways over so many thousands of years. Okay. So I do feel guided to share some deeper pockets of energies around the divine feminine and divine masculine dynamics within this origin of the core soul wound, because it is a very deep internal and external pattern that we see playing out continuously, where we see the masculine and feminine energies have been pitted against one another and in some form of divide, even though on a lot of levels the way society was built over generations, they were forced to work together and come into relationship just to survive, i.e., just 2 generations ago, feminines couldn't even buy a house or a car without a masculine. Feminines really, literally, for the majority, had to get married to be able to survive and move forward and mature. Um, there was really not many choices. That's not that long ago. We're talking about 60, 70 years ago. Okay. So that's not that long ago. Those memories are fresh in our systems from many of our grandmothers. Okay. And mothers, great grandmothers. And with the other side of that, masculines were also forced into a situation, right, in order to be able to have the other sides of what they were told to do to be met as a provider, as their purpose as a masculine, having a wife, having children, and caring for them, right? So many people were forced into these dynamics to be codependent on one another to survive. This equally goes back to the core soul wound, but it even goes back to the DNA on our planet. Before we were modern humans, during the times of Neanderthals, we actually, human Neanderthals, their brain only had the capacity to create and live off the memories that they had. It didn't have the capacity to expand the way that we do now. And so that is originally where genetically some of those roles came into play, where the masculines were the hunter and providers, and the feminines were the gatherers and the gardeners type of energies. So they split the roles to survive, literally, for food and shelter and caring for the young to keep the generations going. So that happened as a result of literal limitations in the nervous system, in the brain, to be able to hold the level and capacity that we do now. So there's lots of different pieces to this puzzle. It's not simple in a sense, right? It's complicated what our systems have been through. But the beautiful part is that it's getting simpler and easier for us to unravel all of that information, and not to deny it or get rid of it, but to realize we do not have to continue to carry all of those memories in our systems, because as we're evolving, we have the opportunity to allow more of our true core soul essence to take over our cells and our energy, so that we can release and unravel the depth of those memories in our cellular memory. Okay. So this is a lot of the work that I do, where if any of you have been in my groups or worked with me one-on-one, we really go into the genetic DNA origin, ancestral fields, the planetary programming fields, past life memory fields, and unravel the information that's been suppressed in your system and allow it to dissolve all of the things that you're not needing to carry. The beautiful part of it is the information isn't disappearing. It's going up into your own spiritual Google Cloud, your own general Akashic records, however you want to understand that. But your soul memories and experiences will always live on. But imagine that you no longer have to carry the weight of that in your cells, in your DNA, and be bogged down by all of that extra information, so that you're free to evolve into and embody who you actually are at a soul level, in honoring the ancestral energies and memories and experiences, as well as your past experiences. Okay, we get all of the lessons, we get all of the wisdom, but we do not have to continue to carry the pain and the suffering and the limitations. Okay, so as we work with or acknowledge the wounds back to their core, where they originated, it allows us to really kind of work with it from both ends. So you have your most recent memories and experiences, right? Those are the most surface of your field, but they're the most prominent. And then you have your core wound. So what is happening is most people are experiencing this experience that's uncomfortable right here and right now, but it's not just triggering this initial issue, it's triggering the millennia of all of those uncomfortable experiences back to the core wound. So that is sometimes why people seem like they're unable to cope with or deal with things that seem kind of simple. Because what's happening is it's not just that one wound that's getting triggered, it's many, and it's many aspects of their being, whether it's their soul memories or their ancestral DNA memories. So sometimes people are reacting from something an ancestor might have experienced thousands of years ago. But their innate survival mechanism kicks in. And this is what happens if we do not have the awareness of the bigger picture of what's actually truly occurring in our systems. But when we become aware of what's happening, or at least aware of part of what's happening, and we have an understanding. As I'm speaking, I can feel it unraveling for some of you. I can feel this awareness opening up like, oh my goodness, this isn't all me. This isn't that I'm crazy or that I'm experiencing these things because I'm out of control or because I'm too much. No, what was in your system and provided for you to deal with is too much, right? But the amazing thing is that so many of us are unraveling these from both ends of the spectrum now, right? It's getting more and more to that core where we are able to hold more of these inner union states because we're letting go of the information that we're not needing anymore. And we're allowing our true energies and essences to sync back up. So as we're healing these core wounds, we're also coming into a remembrance of what it was like to be together. We're learning how to rework with those internal masculine and feminine energies. And as we heal those abandonment issues internally, we're able to see the external mirror in a new light. Because I also know that many of us on this planet, this is where it reconnects with the masculine and feminine, we've experienced so much betrayal and suffering and deception and distortion around the true love energies between masculines and feminines because it was distorted internally within us, as well as back to the original origin wound. Many of us hold memories of being ripped apart from our divine counterpart or partner, however you want to understand that. For those of you that resonate with the twin flame energies, being ripped apart from your twin flame divine counterpart energy. Okay. And I've seen literal rips in the energetics between these energies. Yes, we're each our own individual, but my higher self showed me that back when things were pristine, we had the ability to co-create and come together. And we were individual beings, but we could also come together almost as like transformers, right? Like shapeshifters, in a sense that we could come together in merge in energetics and create an entirely new being. Okay, kind of like they did in Transformers, for any of you guys who know about that. I did speak about this in a video last year. I'm gonna publicize that on my channel, and I'll link that in the description box and in the pinned comment if any of you want to connect with that a little bit deeper. But also, a lot of us have those memories not only of losing our so-called other energetic half, right, internally, but then as a partnership, but also other aspects of us, like say soul family or soul monad. So yes, the level of wounding of loss and abandonment and grief over that can be intense in our system at times. So, but the beautiful part is that I want to acknowledge is that we're at a time now where this information is coming back. The aspects are being freed and available to come home to us so that we can heal these core soul wounds, show up for ourselves, heal the abandoned, come into inner union, unravel the defense mechanisms and protective mechanisms so that we can drop in the true protection and the true cushioning, and then allow this energy to realign us with the energies and soul family that is meant to connect with us. Okay. We have this amazing opportunity to do this. Okay. And there's definitely a lot with this subject for sure. And I actually have a group on December 6th, a Radiance group. And part of what we're going to be doing is going into the core soul wound and unraveling where we may have still energies of feeling unwanted or unworthy or unloved around those original abandonment energies. Okay. We're also going to work with the ancestral core soul wounds that I spoke about here today. And then we're going to be working on inviting in and embracing all of those energies and aspects and core soul embodiment of you and your true essence back home to your soul, to your body. So some of it has been suppressed, some of it feels like it's imprisoned somewhere else in the subconscious or in the energetics or in other dimensions. So we're going to be working with that so that you can truly move into a deeper level of your soul radiance and be emitting and magnetizing into your life and into your experience more and more of your true birthright, of the experiences and love and support and camaraderie and partnership that you truly deserve, loves. Okay. So I like to do this work the way that I do it because my goal is to help to support the unraveling and dissolving and moving of much of these patterns and energy in your system that's weighing you down as possible, as safe, as deemed by your highest soul's energy. Like in my sessions, in my groups, ultimately your higher self is in control. I'm there to support and open up the fields of the work that I have done and that I'm connected to. So that allows us to open up those codes and share the information in the highest, most pristine way possible. Your higher self gets to interpret that information in the way that is best for you versus my human self trying to figure that out for you or with you. We let them take over and just handle all of it, your higher energy. Okay. And obviously inviting that soul essence, your soul essence, to feel safe and have the ability to come home or to come out from hiding or to feel free and safe, to just come back online in your system for you. Even if you're not ready to share that out in the world yet, just allowing yourself to feel that, to experience that inner union. Okay, loves. So I'll drop that in the pinned comment and description as well if any of you are interested in that. I like to make it very affordable. It's only $22 and there's a lot packed into it to support you. And you also receive the recording so you can continue to work with the energies and essences. I want to give you the most supportive information and energies I'm capable of in any given moment. So that's what I'm here for. I hope this was helpful. If you have more questions or you want me to go deeper into anything, just let me know in the comments. There's a lot in here. There's a lot to share. I love you and I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day, loves.